Hi, I'm Jonathan M0JSX and I need your help because I bought a radio and I'm not quite sure what to do with it. This is from the late 1990s / the early 2000s. It is a Yaesu FT90, which is a gorgeous little radio. We'll have a look at it and I'll tell you kind of why I bought it, but also I need your help as to what I should do with it next. So let's start by having a look at the radio itself. So this radio is, let's look at the serial number actually. So it starts with a 0 and this radio was manufactured from sort of 1999 through to somewhere around 2005. So it's starting with a 0. I know that this radio was manufactured in the year 2000. So this radio is 25 years old, and to be honest with you, it's in a lot better condition than I was when I was 25. There's a few sort of minor scratches on the screen that you could just see there, but to be honest with you, when it's switched on, can't really see them. Nothing down the side. There were some marks when I initially got. There were some marks on this top lid here, but they cleaned off quite happily. I thought there were some dents actually, but they just weren't. They felt almost like clay plasticine or something like that. I don't quite know what it was, but it's cleaned off quite nice. It's just I might just be able to see a little bit of remnants, but anyway. Other side, on the back there is an N-type connector. In Europe they had the N-type. This is pretty standard from Yaesu of the time. In Europe it was the N-type. In the US it was an SO239 connector. Not quite sure why the two different options. I mean, obviously we know that an N-type connector is typically a better connector at UHF, but hey. There is a 3.5mm speaker socket. There is a power cable which is about, I don't know, what's that, 6 inches long, terminates in the T connector. Different to more modern Yaesus. Modern Yaesus tend to use that sort of 2-pin flat connector. T connector, pretty typical. You'll see that from Kenwood. I think ICOM also use that connector, as do lots of the Chinese manufacturers. With Retevis, for instance, definitely use that on their RT95. The party piece of the FT90 was that when it was new, it had this little bracket that it sat on. I haven't got the bracket, unfortunately, but it had this little bracket that it sat on, so you could mount it in the car, or you could buy a separation kit, take the head off, and then you could have the radio tucked away somewhere, maybe, I don't know, under the seat in the car, maybe in the boot. Run the separation cable and just have this really tiny faceplate mounted up in the cockpit of the car, and you would be golden. You would need to run a separate little cable for the microphone and also a cable for a speaker, but hey, that would be great. Unfortunately, those cables, that separation kit, is long since obsolete, so getting hold of one now is going to be near nigh impossible, but still nice. And even the size of it, this is the thing that I can't work out, that it is just so tiny, so small. I'm trying to compare it to something. I'm just going to grab my FT60, which is a pretty good size of handheld, and wow, to say that the FT90 is 50 watts out on 2 meters and 35 watts out on 77s, it is incredible to say that it is, you know, about the same thickness as an FT60. Okay, with the battery on as well, but hey, that is insane. It's got a little cooling fan which keeps it nice and cool. The one on this particular one, I have already switched this on, slightly louder than I would perhaps like, but the speaker gets far louder than that. It was also supplied to me with a really long power cable, which is fine. If I end up keeping this radio, which is what I want your help on, I will obviously put power poles on that. I don't need it for now because I do have another cable with the T connector for testing. And I also was supplied the MH42 microphone. Now there was 2 microphones available for this radio, and you've got a different one depending on where you purchased it. So in Europe, we were supplied the MH42, which is this standard microphone. Very similar, reminds me of the microphone that was supplied with my FT857, the sort of non-DTMF version, but there was also a DTMF microphone. And of course the advantage with the DTMF microphone was that you could punch in the frequency just using the keypad and be off to the races. Now obviously, like most microphones of this age, the cable has gone and returned to its original primordial goop. And that was pictured when I bought the radio. That was pictured in that state, so I knew that was going to how it's come. So I immediately got on to everybody's favourite online auction site and picked up a new cable. And swapping the cable out on these is really simple. In fact, I am going to show you, because all you need to do this is one screwdriver, and it is just a standard sort of Phillips screwdriver. Going to flip over the microphone, going to take out these 3 screws. Now the 2 screws at the bottom are exactly the same, so it doesn't matter if you swap those around. The screw at the top underneath this sort of clip is unique, so you have to make sure that that one you don't try and put in another place. It will go in, but it won't. These screws won't go into that hole. If that makes sense. So let's just get all 3 screws out. Careful to take the bit of plastic with it, otherwise you might lose it. Flip off the back, and it's that microphone cable is going to hold there as well. There's the PTT button. Put a weight in here just to make the microphone heavier, because otherwise without it weighs nothing. And then it is just a case of literally pulling on this white connector here. There's a little Molex connector, just pops off. That's that cable out of the way. We will grab our new one. We're just going to plug it in, line up the groove in that piece of rubber with the groove in the microphone. That's actually a little bit longer than is ideal, but I think it will still go together. We'll also line up the PTT button, and you can actually see it's activating a tiny little switch there, so make sure that's all lined up. We'll pop the back of the microphone back on again, make sure to just line up that groove. It'll kind of snap back together. Click that a few times, that's definitely working. And I kind of like to put that one on first, just so I'm not messing up any of the screws. And then we will do the bottom 2. Microphone with a brand new cable installed, and that should, without any problems at all, go into the side of the radio. And it does. Lovely. I was also supplied the operating manual. These are nice. I mean, you can find these online as well, but nice to have the original printed copy. Again, advertising the detachable front panel. Of course, you did have to have the separation cable to do that. Let's now get the radio on and let's just test its output power, because I don't believe there should be any issues here at all, but let's have a go. Okay, so slightly just changed the angle around, and we're going to switch the radio on. Now, every time you turn this radio on, it goes into this like demo mode. I'm sure there is a way to turn it off. I just haven't investigated yet, but you can just click the PTT button and it gets rid of it. So let's start off on the 2-meter band, and I've already been playing with this radio, but we'll go down to the calling channel. So we're into a dummy dose. We're not going to be transmitting any further than we need to. Let's just check the power output. So we're on high power. So this should be in the region of 50 watts. Now this meter here is not particularly accurate at all, but we're going to key up, and yeah, meter is indicating about 50 watts. That's very good. Let's press the button again. Let's try mid 1, which I think should be about 25 watts. Yeah, looking at the meter, about 25 watts there. Mid 2, which I think should be about 10 watts. Let's see what that says. Okay, a smidgen under 10 watts, but still pretty reasonable. And then low power should be about 5 watts, which according to this meter is about 5 watts. Again, this meter nowhere near accurate. I wouldn't use it for an actual power test, but as an indication it's fine. Right, let's just try up on 77s, and we'll just head up to the 70 centimeter calling frequency. So let's try again. So high power should be about 35 watts. Now this meter doesn't actually cover 77s, so it'll give us an indication, but it's not going to be accurate. So we'll just try that. Okay, it's it's way off the end. I don't think we'll trust that that reading at all. But yeah, certainly on 2 meters, it's fine. This meter letting us down on 70%, it does only cover up to 150 megs as it states there. So as I said right at the start of the video, I need your help because I really don't know what to do with this radio. When I saw it advertised for sale, it was pretty cheap. And I thought, you know what, actually I could buy that. I can see it needs a new microphone cable. I'll buy a new microphone cable for it and I'll just sell it on and I might make a little bit of money out of it. You know, many people do that with cars. Why can't I do that with radios? But now it's here, I do quite like it. And I'm not quite sure whether getting rid of it is the best thing to do, whether I should sell it, whether maybe I should keep it, use it for maybe a few months, and if I still think that maybe I should sell it, then that's what I'll do. Or do I think, actually, I've got plenty of radios, and certainly I've got plenty of radios for the 2 meter band. Should I consider maybe keeping the FT90 as it's both 2 meters and 70 centimeters and selling one of my other 2 meter radios? And I've probably got a long list of radios that I could sell in order to, if not make a profit over what I've paid for this, certainly recoup the cost of what I paid for this. I don't know, what would you do with it? What would you do with an old FT90? Small, VHF, UHF, dual band, 50 watts on 2 meter mobile. I say it's a shame that this particular unit didn't come with its original box. It didn't have that bracket, it doesn't have that separation cable. You know, those things are annoyances more than anything else. It's not taking away from the fact the radio works, it's producing the power that it should. I think the only thing that leads me to think that maybe I should sell it is that it doesn't have a dedicated data port on it. So like the FT1500, which I've previously spoken about on the channel, and I'll link the video up there. It's a very early video that's linked up there. The FT1500 has on the rear an 8-pin, was it 6-pin? 6-pin, I think it is actually, 6-pin data socket. So for interfacing to things like a TNC, for APRS, or any packet mode actually, or interfacing to, I mean, I run an FT1500 for my All-Star node, for instance. So that's a lot easier on a radio like the FT1500. But then the FT1500 is a 2 meter only radio. So maybe I should perhaps think about selling an FT1500. I'm loath to do that as well. Let me know what you think. Should I keep it? Should I let it go? Should I pop it on eBay and see what it goes for? Comments down below, please. Really want to know what your thoughts are here, because I'm a little bit lost as to what to do with this. Thanks very much for watching. If you've liked this video, there's a button specifically for that. If you haven't, there's another one that seems to work just fine too. And if you haven't already done so, please do click on that subscribe button and also click that notification bell and you'll be told whenever I upload a new video. There's another video coming up over here that the algorithm thinks that you might like next. Until next time, 73. Bye-bye.